So, this is kind of overdue. That last video didn't have the same grasp on Persona 4's mechanics that I do now, and I limited how I saw party members to an embarrassing degree. In other words, I deceived thousands of people. Since this is to serve as an update, I'm going to skip talking much about stats and move pools, which I discussed at length in the past video, and focus in on how I see the game now. Personally, what I value most is what a character can provide in boss fights, as those are the most important obstacles to consider. While Chie and Naoto are really good for clearing out regular enemy encounters, that doesn't matter too much to me when it's the bosses that impede your main story progression. Persona 4's system is very centered around doing as much damage as possible, as there's commonly no other alternative win condition to consider. Status effects aren't helpful against bosses, crits don't knock down every boss, so there's little one more or odd attack benefit, and on top of that, plenty of bosses towards the end resist physical, which actively harms the more physical-oriented party members. Therefore, I greatly value characters that can either output consistently high damage, or help others output the highest damage possible. Also, this game isn't very hard. You can easily use your favorites and get by just fine. I just think this is fun to talk about. The weakest party member to me is Yosuke. Being a jack of all trades is pretty rough in Persona 4's damage-heavy environment. Since Yosuke lacks the charge skills, he cannot keep up with the high damage that some of the other characters can provide. This wasn't a major problem in the original Persona 4 since the charge skills were much more scarce, but since they're more freely distributed, he starts to fall behind as the game progresses and you gain better party members. He's reliant on Risei to grant him charge buffs, and without those, he's just okay. But if he did have a charge skill, it'd be a completely different story. Naoto has a similar problem to Yosuke, where she's a jack of all trades, but her damage output is pretty bad. While she has access to every magic type, the lack of boost and amp skills keep her damage low, on top of having some pretty bad endurance. Her saving grace is Shield of Justice, which can be a helpful safety net if you're unprepared for the last couple of bosses or the super boss. But if you know what you're doing, you can end fights faster with pretty much anyone else on your team. Chie is sort of in her own little area. Her glass cannon archetype is a tad harmful when so many bosses are damage sponges, doubly so when the lighter bosses resist physical. Because of her low endurance and how she's reliant on her HP to use her physical skills, she'll need someone to support her at all times and is commonly at risk of wasting your once per battle Risei guard ability. On top of that, her peaks rely on her ability to deal critical hits with Apt Pupil, but since critical hits don't grant knockdowns on many key boss fights, she doesn't reap the full benefits of getting that extra turn to reapply power charge or prepare for an enemy's counterattack. Not only that, there's a party member that reliably hits harder than her and can take a hit much better than her. Dragon Hustle is neat too, but with how much SP that takes up, it's just not super worth it unless you give her the Chakra Ring, and I think her accessory slot would be better used with another item. Kanji is where we get into the crazy party members. He not only hits the hardest with his physical skills outside of Narukami, his endurance gives him the survivability to be a reliable party member in almost every scenario. There have been plenty of cases where I use Kanji as my go-to item user, sometimes ending up as a pseudo-support character, because I know with his massive HP and endurance that he can tank pretty much any hit. And then you look at the damage a charged up Primal Force deals and he's just amazing. If he didn't have power charge, then I think it'd be a much closer call between him and Chie, but Kanji just has that longevity that you'll want for these damage sponge boss fights that Chie severely lacks. Teddy is only this high because he has one job that he does very, very well. He has Mataru Kaja, Maracunda, and Madea Rahan. These are the perfect skills to max out the party's damage output and heal everyone. Teddy doesn't need to worry about doing the damage. That's everyone else's job. In a game that's solely about numbers, Teddy is the perfect party member to make sure the team is attacking at max potential. But there's more to it than just being the support. If Teddy is the healer, that makes it so the next character doesn't have to heal and can focus entirely on damage. There are two versions of Persona 4, the one where you use Yukiko and the one where you're wasting your time. The highest magic stat in the game, Fire Boost, Fire Amp, Mind Charge, and a severe damage fire skill. Yukiko is a walking nuke, outputting crazy damage numbers, and with access to Fire Break, nothing is stopping her. If you are using Yukiko as the healer in late game, you are squandering her potential as a party member. If you ask me, the best party in the game is 100% Yukiko, Kanji, and Teddy. Yukiko and Kanji can easily have their magic and strength stats maxed out, and have the highest damage output of the team outside of the protagonist. And while everyone else is focused on charging and using their strongest attacks, Teddy is handling the buffs, debuffs, and healing. You can rely on this team to defeat any foe without needing to depend on Chie's critical hits, Risei's buffs to help Yosuke and Naoto, or any other inconsistent benefits. There's no truly bad party member in this game, just some that are better than others. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments, and take care.